Hello and welcome back to Courtside. I'm Andrew Cohen, joined alongside by just Sam today.
Hello, everyone.
That's right, we only have Sam today. Mike is, he's off. We gave him the day off.
We gave him the day off.
We gave him load management.
Don't worry.
How are you doing today, Sam, though?
I'm doing very well. I'm going to miss Mike today, but I think we can hold down the fort.
All right.
A lot more pressure on us. A third more of the work.
That's true.
That is true.
That's true.
We've done one of these before, but couldn't release it.
No, the audio got all corrupted. Anyways, there's been a lot going on in Boston recently.
Oh, great heaven.
The Boston Celtics. So Ime Udoka has been suspended by the team for the entire season for violations of team protocols, whatever that means. The reports are it had something to do with some sort of intimate relationship with at least one person in the organization. That's really all we know. We don't really know much.
Seems like it's a lot worse than what they're telling us, just based off the people that know what's happening.
Yeah.
And they've come out and said, I think we shouldn't be too quick to judge the Celtics here. Like, this is a very bad situation. So we should definitely be careful in the way that people are jumping to conclusions in terms of being like, oh, Ime just because Ime is having fun in his extracurricular life means that the Celtics are essentially don't do what Stephen A is doing. That's actually what you should just not be doing, because I think it's deeper than that.
Yeah. There's the Matt Barnes video going around, if any of you have seen it out there, where basically in the immediate aftermath of everyone kind of learning what was going on, he made a video where he was basically talking about how he was supporting Ime Udoka, and then 2 minutes later took it down because he got some more information and realized it was much, much worse than that, and there was a lot of stuff he couldn't condone. And so he made another video about that.
We've heard there's been unwanted comments. Let's hope that's the worst of it.
Well, I think so. Something interesting was the initial reporting was, I think, was it Tuesday night, last Tuesday, where they Woj came out with a report just saying he's going to be suspended for the whole year for violating team policies, and no one really knew. In
a graphic that was very similar to the Sam Darnold out indefinitely mononucleosis.
Yes. And then it came out later that night, and the report was that it was for a consensual relationship with a team staffer, which now is very obviously not the case. Mm-hmm. I have pinned it down. My belief is that that leaking of the story, if you will, was from the Ime Udoka camp, because that was obviously in favor of him to put it out there of a consensual relationship.
Because now the word has changed, right?
Right. So in a lot of the initial articles written about the situation, it said he's being suspended, at least in part or whatever, for a consensual relationship with a team staffer. If you go look at all those articles now, they've removed the word. ESPN replaced that word with an intimate relationship. So that word's kind of just been wiped from the reporting, which is a very interesting development, I would say.
Not a green flag.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just been a really weird week for the Celtics.
And it's very bizarre because the Celtics clearly were blindsided by the league. They did not know that was coming. And because of that, it gave people all this time to just put all this speculation out into the world. And by the time the Celtics had met with their lawyers and everything, crafted a statement, it had already been, 36 hours?
Yeah.
Where people were just they were finding female staff members.
Yeah. They would
the
just
Celtics organization. Yeah. Everything that could go bad did go bad.
Yeah. And there was one, I think, so Allison Feaster is in the front office. She's a front office manager. She's the only woman, I believe, in the front office. And it got so bad with her where she had to reach out to a reporter and be like, can you please put it out there that it's not me? Mm-hmm. So it was really bad for a couple. It's probably still bad. Anytime I see stuff like that, I just kind of ignore it.
Yeah, I agree.
But Brad Stevens was getting very emotional about it in the press conference. By far the most emotional I've ever seen him.
He used a bad word.
He did.
He learned how to curse.
He did.
I saw a great tweet. It was the worst part about all of this is Brad Stevens had to learn what sex was. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just the team can't say pretty much anything about the situation. And apparently based off media day to day, they couldn't really tell the players anything about it.
Yeah, the players found out on Twitter just like the rest of us.
Yeah. So it's just a really weird situation because no one really knows exactly what's going on. But obviously, like, there's a reason he's being suspended for a year. I wouldn't be surprised if the reason it's currently suspension is because they're trying to negotiate some sort of separation.
Because they did mention there, like, his return at the end of the 2022-2023 season is not a guarantee.
Yeah, I would be shocked if he ever coached the Celtics again. I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know the details of the story. There have been reports where there's like an agent who doesn't think he'll ever be a coach or head coach at least again. I don't really know what to say about that. But at the very least, like, bringing a coach back after this type of situation is just not what you want for your team.
Actually, only a franchise like the Cleveland Browns would do that.
Right, and that's the thing is, like, I don't know if I've ever seen a situation where the team suspends someone.
Yeah, right.
Like, they got way out ahead of it seemingly, and I could be wrong on that, but that's just what it seems like.
I mean, they hired a third-party investigator and everything.
Right. No, like, they did. They went all out for it, and they're being, like, very cautious. They're trying to protect everyone's privacy and protect the women involved.
And they took it very seriously, which you don't see in a lot of professional sports.
No, exactly.
That's very admirable by the Celtics. Originally, when all this stuff kind of started happening, those original 36 hours, there was a lot of people kind of condemning the Celtics for the way they handled it. And as we've kind of progressed through the situation, and Andrew, I'm actually curious what you think about this, more and more people are like, this is very systemically problematic because Woj and Shams are in this battle not to report things with a moral conscience and get the most accurate version of the story and think about what the ramifications of what they're reporting on are. But they're trying to beat the other one to the story. Yeah. And how do you think we move forward with that?
Yeah. Well, I was saying this too, like, as it was happening, like, I was not a fan of how everything was being reported. Like, it just felt like, so there was the initial report from Woj, and there's, like, no substance to it. It's just saying he's being suspended by the team.
Yes.
And then, like, a couple hours later, Shams drops a report and talks about relationship and all that. Like, it was very frustrating to see the way it was being reported. And, like, this kind of, go ahead.
And both reports are coming out, like, between midnight and 1 a.m. in the morning.
Like, it's one thing when you're talking about trade rumors and free agent spec. Like, that stuff's fun, right? Like, we don't care. There's really no negatives to being like, hey, this team is interested in this player or vice versa. Like, there's not any real consequences to that. There are real consequences to the way that was reported by Woj and Shams. Like, they didn't have the whole story. I mean, no one has the whole story right now. But, like, just having the whole story that the Celtics are able to share, I think, would have been the way to do it. I don't know. I was frustrated by that, personally.
I agree.
And I don't know. Like, I just don't think that will really change because it's probably in their contracts where every time you're first, like, it's probably in Woj's contract. If you're before Shams, extra money or something like, some sort of
incentives there.
Incentives, yeah. And so that's just frustrating because they're also not like typically with those guys. They report something once it's kind of there's real substance to what they're reporting, whereas like other people can go and float things because that's kind of what they have to do if they want to be a reporter. But yeah, that was frustrating for me because on the one hand, just as a Celtics fan, not knowing what's going on, I'm not getting the whole story. I feel like these guys know stuff that they're not reporting.
Exactly. That's what it felt like the whole time.
That's what I felt like the whole time is they were holding stuff back because of whatever reasons. And if you're going to hold stuff back, you can't report things, then yeah.
Then don't do the story.
Don't do the story, yeah. Like, is the Woj one in and of itself super damaging? Like the initial one, no, because there weren't any details.
Yes.
But like as soon as you see that type of punishment, I think immediately people started jumping to, did he have a relationship with someone in the organization? Is there something related to that?
Yeah.
And so, I feel like the speculation started at that point and just really took off from there.
Yeah.
But
I think we summed it up well.
Yeah. In terms of on the court, though. So, what are your thoughts on Joe Mazzulla? And then, how much do you think it affects the team this year?
I know nothing about this guy besides the fact that Brad Stevens loves him. Mm-hmm. And that's a very good sign, right?
Yeah.
Like when Brad Stevens speaks that highly of someone, I think that's important. But, I mean, we had the guy. Mm-hmm. Like, the ironic thing was his whole, the reoccurring thing he kept telling the players is stop playing like assholes, stop playing like assholes. And I guess it's a takes one, no one situation, but he got across to them. And that was something that Brad clearly wasn't able to do towards the end, at least. I hope that we see, because you've mentioned this to me off air, Missoula came from the Stevens coaching tree.
Right.
So I hope we see a continuation of the more Udoka-centric defense at least. And I'm excited to see what he offers on the offensive side of things.
Yeah.
Because Ime clearly, he got to the players and he affected change far more on the defensive side than offensively.
Yeah.
Because yes, there was like the pretty like Popovich type passing and stuff, and there were the San Antonio Leafs for sure. But a lot of times when they needed a bucket, they'd go to ISO stuff. And obviously, like when you have players in like the top 10 caliber of NBA players, everyone trying to is like, okay, here, like Kevin Durant, go get us a bucket. Giannis, go get us a bucket. Jason Tatum, go get us a bucket. But every possession, it gets very dull and it gets easy to defend.
Right.
So it'll be nice to see some change there, hopefully. But I think the defense was clearly at a different level. And I think with adding Brogdon, that's only going to make it better.
Yeah. I think so. Somebody said something the other day where they were thinking back to the playoffs and like the later rounds and thought that Missoula had at least moved up on the bench and was kind of coaching guys on the defensive end. So I would imagine at least defensively it will be the same system. I don't know. Like it's such a weird situation because this dude was not the head coach 5 days ago. Yeah. And so he wasn't cooking up schemes for his team. Like I feel like you kind of have to rely on what's been put in place. And also like he's not an idiot. He saw the team just got to the finals and there's a blueprint and like
he's not going to go back. Like if he reverts back to the old defensive like that, please fire this man by November.
Yeah,
like,
so, I honestly, thinking more about it, I expect them to run. And also all the assistant coaches are Ime's guys outside of Missoula, obviously. And so, like, I imagine they'd be more comfortable running that type of system that they ran last year. So I'd imagine that's probably what it's going to be. But I do think there's an interesting thing here where I wonder if they just end up hiring him after this year. Because there's some part of me that says, like, Brad brought him in a couple years ago. He got seriously, strongly considered for the Utah job. Like, really? I think it was a lot closer than people think.
Gotcha.
Is what it seems like.
It was between him and the other.
Him and Will Hardy, the other assistant. Right. And so it almost feels like a coaching prospect is what they have, right? Like, and if you think back to, like, who the Celtics have hired, their past, I mean, now if you count this as their third hiring, quote unquote, right? It's like Brad Stevens, Ime Udoka, and now him. It's like none of them had NBA head coaching experience. All of them are kind of like, we're bringing them in. They're going to be the next guy. And they hit on Brad Stevens, obviously. I mean, they hit on Ime Udoka. Obviously, it's not going to work out. Right, on the court, they hit on Ime Udoka. And now they have this guy. And so, I don't know. He seemed very good in his press conferences today. Didn't really say much, but, like, said, I don't know. He had a presence to him. He seemed very impressive. And so,
that's important.
I feel like at the end of the day, we're not going to look back on this season and be like, well, they lost because Joe Mazzulla was their head coach, right? Like, that's not going to be it. And if he doesn't do well, we're just going to be like, yeah, he wasn't ready. He's 34 years old. He hasn't even been a lead assistant for an entire season. Like,
he's not even the oldest guy in the locker room.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, I think he's kind of in a situation where you can't really blame him for anything that happens. But he's also not going to be the reason they start winning games either.
That's fair.
Right? Fair. Like, I think it's way more on the players this year. Like, they've seen the blueprint. They know I feel like a lot of them know what they have to do.
It's a Rich Pistachio situation.
Sure. Really quickly, also, there's the Robert Williams injury.
Yeah. Why'd they wait so long?
They kept asking Rob during the press conference today, and he didn't really give an answer.
I did see a quote that it mentioned that he had knee soreness come up this past week.
Yeah, so I feel like maybe it was the type of thing where they were just hoping rest would work, and it didn't. Realistically, like, they don't have much depth up there, which is kind of like the one thing. For example, if, like, Marcus Smart was going to miss a month or two, you'd be like, okay, yeah, they can survive without Marcus Smart for a month or two because they have Derek White, Brogdon, Pritchard. They just don't really have much at center.
No, they don't.
Like, is Luke Cornett playing 30 minutes a game? Is Kabengele playing 30 minutes a game? Like, so...
Horford.
I mean, yeah, Horford would be 37.
We just might see a lot of small ball Grant Williams.
Yeah, small ball Grant Williams. So, I'm not betting personally. I'm gonna assume that Rob Williams will not play until Christmas. That's my thought. But realistically,
Hanukkah.
like Hanukkah, yes. Like, realistically, I still think the Celtics are the team to beat in the East because that's who they got there last year. Right, they got to the finals last year. To me, it's still them and the Bucks, and then you can talk about everyone else.
I think those two are in the same tier.
I agree. But I'm just like the Celtics are the team being hunted right now because they beat the Bucks last year, and so
That's fair.
right.
That's fair.
And I don't think
You're the king until you aren't.
exactly. And I don't think Rob Williams missing the first couple months of the year is gonna change that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, I mean, we saw how
They're not going to be worse than they were halfway through the season than they were last year.
exactly
Right? So,
but they're not. They're also not going to be. Chances are they don't have as tough of a road in the playoffs either. Like so, I think at the end of the day, they're still right there even without Ime Udoka.
that's fair.
Is there anything else you want to say about the Celtics?
No.
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 All right. That's it for basketball talk today.
Yeah, it is, isn't
yeah, it is. It's NFL time. The AFC West. The AFC West.
We have touted as the most talented division of all time
Yet
headed into this year.
they have the only winless team in the NFL, the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't really know what's going on. Like Derek Carr's not playing well. They can't get Devontae Adams the ball.
I believe Matt Collins, the pride of Chapel Hill, North Carolina, is their leading receiver.
Yeah, they choked against the Cardinals last week.
And that's tough to do.
That's really tough to
That's
do.
a team that you see the opposite.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to turn it around, but
That they have to, but
I expected their offense this year to be electric,
me too.
right? Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, Josh Jacobs. Like, they've been,
They should have. This is the curse. This is the curse when you have the interim guy who's a baller and all the players love him, and you're like, we should bring back Rich Bisaccia. And then the ownership with their terrible haircut is like, no, I want my flashy head coach.
Counterpoint.
And they bring in Josh McDaniels, who's super mid, and now the team is super mid.
Counterpoint, to not cross sports, but the Atlanta Hawks. They brought in Nate McMillan. Nate McMillan is their interim coach.
Uh-huh.
They get to the conference finals, then they stink the next year.
They do.
Right? Like, I think a lot of the
That's
times
fair.
there's like the rally effect.
That-
We're going to rally around this guy because we know, like, it's just like, there's something to be said for, like, everyone can just focus on that 1 year when you're in that situation, right?
You are very correct on this. You are correct here.
So, like, yeah. I can't say for sure keeping Rich Bisaccia was the right move. Like,
it would have been terrible.
Yeah.
Like, he's a guy that no one's like, oh, I want to go there so I can play for Rich Bisaccia. It's like, okay, we've got this guy who's grinded his life out as a special teams coordinator for his entire NFL career. We're going to rally behind him, get him his moment of stardom, and then we're going to move on and we're going to find the next thing.
right. I can't look at their first 3 games and be like, oh, it's Josh McDaniels' fault. Right? Like, I can't say that versus, like, we'll get into the Broncos. Right? Like, I don't think McDaniels has done a bad coaching job. Just hasn't been very good. And they're 0-3. They've had 3 tough opponents.
Can I break some news on air?
Break some news. Go ahead.
So the reason we were without Mike today is because he's currently he's deer hunting. He's sitting in a tree right now. And it would seem that he just had an opportunity to bring home some meat for the family.
Yep.
And bottled it, or a tree got in his way, and he's now threatening to burn the forest down. So I would say that the wildfire Smokey the Bear signs it a 10 out of 10.
T's and P's. T's and P's
to
for
Mike
Mike.
Randall and the forest.
Yeah.
Shout out the deer, though.
Speaking of Mike Randall, his Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, let's talk about
Let's
that.
talk about them. What happened this week?
What was that? Actually, low-key, it's one of those losses where it's like, okay, yeah, they kind of have to lose that game. Like, Kelsey's dropping wide open touchdowns. Like,
Counterpoint.
counter me. Please do, because I've only heard this. I didn't watch the game. I just listened to what.
So,
Mike
yeah, I
Stroud
mean,
did.
I saw it on Red Zone. 4th and 10 for a 42-yard field goal. They're 17-13.
Okay.
4th and 10. 42-yard field goal. They went for the field goal fake. They went for the fake field goal, and it didn't even come close. What's the decision-making process there? You can go up a full touchdown.
But Andy Reid is one of the generational coaches of this era.
Terrible take from all those people who
Such a
have
bad
that
take,
one. I mean, I don't know. The Chiefs, like, they're good. They're a good team.
They're a good team.
They're a good team.
They have a great quarterback. They have
Great
a
quarterback.
generational quarterback, a generational tight end.
Mm-hmm.
They're a good team.
They're a good team.
The offensive line's better this year than it was last year.
Yeah, it is.
They're a
But
good team.
they just, I don't know. I don't feel it with them this year as much for whatever reason, and maybe it's because it's early. But
It might
like,
be early.
it's probably because it's early.
Yeah.
But
we'll start feeling it.
We'll start feeling probably. But I don't know. There's just maybe it's just because they're all three of the other teams in their division are just quite frankly more intriguing, right? Like there are big changes this past offseason for all of them. But I don't know. Like I will say this, as I predicted, the Tyreek Hill thing hasn't really hurt them.
No, it hasn't.
Right.
That. Kudos.
Like
you're like 1 for 6 in terms of predicting that division.
Thank you. What? Broncos are tied for the division lead.
Oh, I forgot and the Chargers don't
well, Justin Herbert. We'll get into them.
We'll get into them.
But I don't know, like Juju Smith-Schuster's fitting well for the Chiefs.
How's he been?
I think he's been fine. I think he's been good.
He is what he is.
He is what he is.
Okay.
I don't know. The Chiefs, they're the Chiefs. They're 2-1. I still don't think they're going to win the division.
You don't?
I think the other teams will figure it out, and the other teams just have easier schedules.
I think this very well could be a Ferrari Red Bull type situation.
You're going to need to explain this for the people at home and for me.
So Ferrari made the faster car at the start of the year, but Red Bull had a slightly slower car, but they just didn't make mistakes. Like there was no margin of error in that team. Whereas the Chiefs in this situation, I would argue, are Red Bull, right? Where they're the known quantity. And then you've got the Chargers and the Broncos and the Raiders, who are these other teams that are kind of fluctuating on a week-by-week basis. Not necessarily because they're messing up. Well, if the Broncos, yes. Shout out Nathaniel Hackett. But, like, the Chargers with the injuries and stuff like that, like, it's hard to bounce back from an 0-3 start to win a division if you're the Raiders. So this very well could be, like, the Chiefs were just the one team that, like, just trying to put their nose to the ground, just did their work week in and week out. And maybe they lose 5 or 6 games, but they probably 4 or 5, let's be honest. But they still win the... Yeah.
I will say there's something to be said for, like, they're by far the most... They have the most, like, experience as a unit, right? Like, the Broncos changed their quarterback. The Raiders changed their coach. The Chargers have been young for a couple years. So it's like...
And they didn't even that wasn't even a playoff team last year.
Right.
No, they should have been, but they weren't.
I think the thing with the Chiefs, I still think back to last year, and I feel like they just didn't have a very good year for the guys they had. Like, I felt like they underachieved last year a bit.
That's very... I mean, and when you have that amount of offensive pedigree, anything but a Super Bowl showing is...
But I'm even thinking back to, like, the regular season, where it's like they barely got by the Jordan Love-led Packers, or, like, they had, like, some scares against, like, the Giants, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like... And maybe now that they're, you know, a couple years out from a Super Bowl appearance, that changes, but... I don't know. They go at Tampa this week, although Tampa hasn't looked good. But at Tampa...
Tampa's looked bad.
Yeah. Then they get the Raiders. They get the Bills. They go to San Fran. They they have a tough schedule. Like, they have a lot of good teams that they're playing. And so I feel like at some point that's going to catch up. Now, it will catch up to them, but it will also help them for down the road in the playoffs.
I agree.
Now, the team I predicted to win this division, the Chargers. Justin Herbert should not have played football yesterday.
If only not because of the injury, but because the same procedure that was done to Tyrod Taylor was going to be done to him.
Oh my! With the same team doctor. To me, it's the injury now is kind of going to shadow everything for them, and maybe they can still salvage some games. I don't know what their upcoming schedule is like. Let's take a look.
I saw Staley came out and said that he expects the rib injury to be with him for a while.
Yeah, but all right, let's look at the next 2 weeks. At Houston, at Cleveland, those are 2 very winnable games. Regardless, like, they could start Chase Daniel at quarterback. They should win those games.
Yeah.
Right? And then you get, then sure, they play the Broncos, but then home versus Seahawks, at Falcons. Like,
wow.
Right, this is what I'm saying with their schedule a little bit, where it feels overall easier than the Chiefs.
Yeah, wow.
Right? Like, it feels like that's a nice... If there's a time for Justin Herbert to be hurt,
now is it.
Now is that time.
Give them some rest.
Get hot
before playoffs.
I still think they'll be fine. I think they're a good team.
They'll be more than fine.
Will they win? Yeah. Well, jury's still out on him.
My jury is locked and loaded.
You're all in on Staley?
I'm all in on Staley.
Jury's still out on Staley for me.
Okay, that's fine.
The end of last year, I don't think was handled very well for him.
Now, the timeout was bad.
The timeout was bad, but, like, the whole thing where, like, they don't really punt a ton and they go for, like, I like it, but also, I don't know. There's something to be said for it's like if you rely on the analytics are good for a large sample size, but when you're in the moment, they don't matter as much.
That's very fair.
And I feel like he relied very heavily on the analytics last year. And yeah, the timeout was bad.
You sound like you're 80 years old.
I know. And I'm like the math, computer science, analytics guy. But what can you do? I think they'll be fine. I still think the Chargers are going to win this division.
That's fair.
I do.
That's not ridiculous. What are they, 1-2?
1-2.
1 game back. Yeah, they're fine. They'll be fine.
They'll be fine.
No worries.
All right, and then we have Broncos country.
Russ is cooking up. I don't even know what he's cooking up. Like, this is like when you come home from school and you had like all your least favorite subjects and you see a crock pot on the counter. And it's like, no, I don't want whatever's in the crock pot. I just want, I don't even know what I would want. Not Russ. Not whatever Russ is cooking. Russ is cooking up only crock pot items.
I feel like the head coach, Nathaniel Hackett, has been just an absolute disaster through 3 weeks.
This man was Aaron Rodgers' bait, and there were no fishies biting. And they were like, you know what? We're just going to stick with it. Just see what happens. Shockingly, nothing good is happening.
Apparently, like, the thing we're going to hear on every Sunday Night Football from now on is going to be Aaron Rodgers and Nathaniel Hackett were best buddies. Like, when they were together, it's just guys being dudes, apparently. I don't know.
Well, now that they're both separate from each other, they each stink.
They each stink,
Maybe they were a package deal.
Yeah. Just, like, bad timeout management, bad fourth down decision-making, bad everything. Bad situational football.
You're paying your quarterback $250 million and you, like, don't trust him to do anything.
Yeah, and, like, you traded for him, too. Like, you gave up Noah Fant, good tight end.
You gave up Drew Lock, great sideline dancer.
Yeah, that's debatable. No, great sideline dancer. He is.
Elite Fitz levels.
Yeah. No, stop it.
Sorry.
Stop it.
That was disrespectful.
Stop it.
That was disrespectful.
I can't. I don't know how they're 2-1.
Yeah, how? Maybe this is like a Jimmy G situation where you watch him and you don't have a lot of confidence, but you're like, this man just wins football games.
Like, they have way too much talent to not start winning games legitimately. Right? Like, they're just such an enigma. Is the Broncos. I love, by the way, even though like I'm all in on Broncos country this year, I gotta say I love the let Russ cook memes whenever he's not doing well, and it's like someone just making like cereal, chicken parm, and like chicken kebabs, just like throw it all on a plate.
And like a hot dog.
Yeah, and a hot dog, an uncooked hot dog right on top, and like a slice of uncooked cheese.
Do you want to share with the world your take on the Russes?
Oh yeah. So for those of you who don't know, I have declared this year as the year of Russ, in as a reference to the Summer of George from Seinfeld, which went great.
The year of the Russes is going just as well.
The year of the Russ. So this is for both Russell Wilson and Russell Westbrook. I'm expecting them both to have big years.
Dude, this is the most counterculture move I've ever seen since like hippies.
Now Russell Wilson is the starting quarterback for a 2-1 football team tied atop his division.
The most talented division in
the most talented division in recent memory. And it ends there. That's you don't need to go into the specifics. He's having a great year.
Don't worry about game by game.
Do not worry about stats. Don't worry about stats.
Don't get caught up in logic.
He cares about winning football games.
And his family and his faith.
Exactly.
And he will tell you that.
He will.
In a TikTok video.
He will. In this post-game presser, or not like just this with like the sideline reporter after the game, he ended off with a "Let's ride," and it got me so excited for next week.
Yeah.
Let's ride. And then there's of course Russell Westbrook, who will be a point guard for the Lakers this year. I hope he's starting. I'm expecting a big turnaround from him this year.
He's got a new jumper.
He does have a new jumper.
Smaller hitch.
A
lot of wrist.
That's good. Hey.
So much wrist.
Hey, you know what? You got to change it up.
Hey, man.
He had a tough year shooting last year, I'll admit.
I'm like a 60% free throw shooter, so I can't really critique. But
I think he's going to have a big time bounce back year, is what I think. It's going to be the year of Russ. The year of Russ. It's happening. Again, Russell Wilson's off to a great start. 2-1. Does he have any interceptions yet? I don't think so.
Does he not? Can we do a fact check on this?
No, okay, he does have one interception. 2-1 interception pass, 2-1 touchdown to pass interception.
He has 2 touchdowns in 3 games?
Yeah. They've won 2 games, Sam.
Okay. Hey, winners win.
Hey, they find ways to win, exactly.
If you can find a way to win, then that's what separates the men from the boys.
Okay, I'm looking at his stats here. 59.4% completion.
Hey, that's the same with Brady. He's the GOAT.
He is the GOAT. Yeah, but he has no receivers.
Hey, what did we say? Don't get bogged down in the details.
That's true.
So what I'm hearing is that Russell
Wilson's longest pass this year is 67 yards. That's pretty good.
So he's probably top 3 in the NFL in longest pass. He's the same completion percentage as the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yep.
And he's atop of the most talented division in recent memory.
Guess who is tied for the league lead in fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives?
Is it Russell Wilson?
It's Russell Wilson, baby. Let's ride.
1?
2. Both of the games.
Who's he tied with? Please be.
I don't know who he's tied with. I don't have that up on Pro Football Reference.
I hope it's Wentz.
No fumbles yet this year, but he has recovered a fumble. So
Hey, you know who's not recovering fumbles?
Cam Newton. He actually did when he was on the Patriots. There was like a very similar play, and he actually jumped on the ball.
Damn.
Yeah.
You know those regular season games just hit different.
They do. All right, so here's how the AFC West is going to pan out at the end of the year. Chargers 1. Broncos 2. Oh. Chiefs 3. Raiders 4.
Wow.
Broncos country. Let's ride.
All right.
Speaking of another division that's kind of been going a little bit different than we thought. How about the AFC South? The Jags. 2-1.
2-1.
Atop the division.
Doug Peterson, good football coach? Yes.
Hey,
that man has a statue in Philly. The ballsiest player call of all time.
I can kick you off this. I can kick you off the podcast, Sam.
Hey, for the time being, it's still your face on the logo.
It's true.
That's changing. This is going to be our first episode of the new logo.
If you're listening to this episode right now, you're seeing our new fantastic logo.
We have not actually yet seen it.
We have not actually yet seen it, but we're assuming it's going to be incredible.
We're very grateful to Clara Jurgens.
Clara Jurgens, our good friend. Friend of the show.
Friend of the show,
Clara Jurgens.
Check her out on the Bowdoin Orient masthead.
Yeah.
Great associate editor for the Bowdoin Orient. Shout out Clara Jurgens.
Yes, big time shout out.
We're all very grateful.
Yes. Listen, the Jags are going to win that division. They are.
Yeah, they are.
Like, the Colts have not looked good.
No, they looked really...
Like, I know they beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But like
they held the Chiefs' offense to a
Yeah.
player.
No, like, I think they're going to be fine.
They're going to be fine.
They're going to be fine. But, like, that Trevor Lawrence, Christian Kirk connection.
Christ.
It's electric stuff. The Zay Jones resurgence.
The Doug Peterson resurgence.
James Robinson is back off the torn Achilles and looking better than ever.
He looked better than Etienne.
Yeah. Well, Etienne's also coming up from major injury, too. Like.
Yeah, but now it's a great equalizer.
I know. James Robinson's that dude.
Timothy.
I mean, the Texans aren't that good. The Titans have been pretty disappointing. They did pick up a big win yesterday.
They did. That was very impressive. They actually gave the ball to Derrick Henry, which I think is important.
The Titans just, you know what the Titans are? It's the definition of, like, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. That's what they are.
That's exactly
right?
what
Like, they haven't changed anything about their team except for trading away A.J. Brown and replacing him with a rookie.
They're like the Heat if Jimmy Butler wasn't that good.
I like that.
Thank you.
I like that.
Like, they're just the team that's like, they might, like, derail a much more fun team to watch in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But that was probably more apt for last year necessarily than, like, I don't think they're as threatening.
No, I don't think so. They probably missed the playoffs. There's just something off about, like, Tannehill's not playing that great.
Can we agree that Tannehill was that MRFer that Tom Brady was talking about?
No, don't we know was actually, yeah. There was something with, like, the Miami thing where people think it had to do with that. I don't know.
But we know it wasn't.
Oh, no, it was Vegas. People thought it was Vegas because, like, he actually bought property and there was the whole Dana White thing.
You're right.
I still think it was Ryan Tannehill.
I still think it was Tannehill.
I still think it was Tannehill because
we know that Tennessee gave him an offer.
No, that's the thing. They didn't.
Really?
Right. No, because Tannehill. That was the year
Tannehill
Tannehill got the huge extension. Everyone's like,
because they paid him before.
Right. Everyone's like, you had. Like, Tannehill was gone. You could have just signed Brady. Brady and Vrabel are boys. They played together. They won Super Bowls together.
Tom and Giselle would be a lot happier posting up in where's that? Nashville, Memphis.
I don't think Giselle would be much happier in Nashville.
Is it Nashville? Be honest. Nashville's cool. It's country music.
Like, listen, I would love being in Nashville. I love being in the and I love being in New England. Giselle does not.
Yeah, I would if I was Giselle, and I got to be married to Tom Brady, and I got to live anywhere. I'd far much rather live in Nashville, than Boston.
What about Tampa, though?
No, I don't want to live in Tampa.
Well, that's where they live.
That's a terrible place to. I wouldn't want to live in Vegas either. You've got young kids.
Yeah.
I'd want to live in Nashville.
The other, like, potential one that people thought was that it was Garoppolo, for San Fran because obviously Brady grew up a Niners fan in that area. That would have been like match made in heaven.
That would have been.
That would have been. But, Jimmy G's good. Oh, no, never mind. He had a terrible moment. He Orlovsky'd yesterday.
Jimmy G is doing his best. And every day he does his best. And he puts his handsome ass to work and gets it done.
Listen, I know everyone's going to see the picture or the videos on Twitter of him stepping out of the back of the end zone.
Stop there. Don't watch the rest of the play.
Stop there. Don't watch the rest of the play, first of all. Second of all, what was the play call? Why are we going deep drop back?
Yeah.
On the 2-yard line, Shanahan.
And can we just talk about how whatever his steps were did not look like normal quarterback drop back step. It looked like a 12-year-old trying to mimic James Harden doing a step back 3. It was like a little crab shuffle. It was bizarre.
That plays on. It's on Kyle Shanahan. It's on Kyle Shanahan.
Okay.
Shanahan's the guy who stepped out of the back of the end zone when you really
When Russia invaded Ukraine, you probably blamed that on Kyle Shanahan.
No, I'm fair on Shanahan.
Are you fair on Shanahan?
I am fair on Kyle Shanahan. He's a very good head coach. He's a very good offensive mind. When it comes to situational football, it is not his strong suit.
That's fair.
Fair. Firm but fair.
Firm but fair.
Firm
like
but
good
fair.
parenting.
Yes. Like good parenting. What else is going on in the NFL? Oh, yeah.
Do you want to do some of our favorite storylines?
Yeah. Let's do it.
I got one.
Go ahead.
Jets are getting their quarterback back.
Oh, God.
They beat the Browns. Close one. But they lost to Baltimore and Cincinnati.
Yep.
Winning the games they should, losing the games they shouldn't, and they're getting their franchise guy back, so I don't know. Things are on the up.
Zach Wilson's
I believe there are
trending to be
actually
back.
Fights breaking out on their sidelines between players and coaching staff, so that's not great.
I did see that. I don't understand your just love for Zach Wilson. I don't get it.
I was very impressed watching him towards the end of last season.
I don't know what football you were watching.
I will reiterate that I will stake my claim that this is a take I made before his off-field stuff came out. This is not me hopping in he's got the dog in a bandwagon.
Zach Wilson last year started 13 games.
Hey, eye test, man. I watched Zach Wilson play football, and I was impressed.
I did too, and I was impressed by how bad he was.
Towards the end?
Yeah.
He was him. He's better than Hudson Card. I'll get to that.
That's a backup college quarterback at Texas. Of course he's better than Hudson Card.
Go back to wide receiver.
All right, we're going to bring up let's go Zach Wilson stats. How about we go week 12 through 18? End of the season.
Start at week 11 because I feel like it's going to be good.
He was inactive that week. He was hurt.
That's tough.
That's why I started at week 12.
That's tough.
From week 12 through the end of the season. 54% completion.
No. Okay.
His season total was about 56. So
just go yards, tutters.
1,166 yards.
Okay.
On average per week, that's 166.
That's impressive.
5 touchdowns and 2 picks.
That's more than a 2-to-1 ratio.
Now he did have
was like 2.2.
Did have 4 rushing touchdowns.
That's big.
But also had 3 fumbles.
That's okay. Hey man, you don't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. You know, so it's important to get those mistakes out of the way. Rookie quarterback BYU, he's getting a lot of exposure, we'll say, inside of the BYU bubble.
But will he improve this season?
Yes, of course he's gonna improve.
All right, what's we're looking back at this season for Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
What did he do this year?
He existed. He did not regress, and he showed signs to be good.
Okay, but if
this was Trevor Lawrence, we would be like, oh my goodness. But it's not. It's Zach Wilson. It's the BYU Mormon Zach Wilson. And we are not being patient with him, but we're patient with Trevor Lawrence, and we're patient with Mac Jones, even though he's not talented. Sorry.
We'll get into Mac Jones.
That was just me being an ass.
That was.
I'm sorry.
Who's a better quarterback today, Zach Wilson or Mac Jones? Actually, who was a better quarterback on Saturday before Mac Jones shattered his ankle? Zach Wilson or Mac Jones?
Mac Jones.
Okay, good. Just one to make sure.
Higher ceiling, Zach Wilson. Higher floor, Mac Jones.
What have you seen from Zach Wilson to say higher ceiling?
Flashes.
Like what?
Just flashes.
Flashes of
brilliance.
Flashes of brilliance, or I don't know. I all I remember is he threw like 4 picks against the Patriots last year.
Yeah, but we can look back on what Bill Belichick does to rookie quarterbacks and just eviscerate their.
Well, okay. It's okay because the next time they played the Patriots, he improved.
I think we're spending too much time talking about the Jets.
I think we are. But I just want to make sure that you know Zach Wilson's not a very good quarterback as of now.
Okay. Speaking of quarterbacks that I also said are going to be good quarterbacks that the world said no, they're not. Can we talk about Tua?
Tua? He's been good.
He's been great.
He had a great week 2.
I thought he was going to die.
I thought he was not very good week 1 against the Pats. I thought week 2 he was very good.
Very good. He looked really good before he got concussed last game.
He looked pretty good.
Did you see that dart he had in the end zone on the slant route? That was very impressive.
Okay. Sure. He's an NFL quarterback. Like, he should be able to make that.
Yeah, but it showed zip.
That's true.
That's the thing we've like, does he have this?
It's fair. That's fair. I know Miami's 3-0, but, like, I don't know. The thing is, like, the only time I watched them for a full game was against the Patriots, and I didn't think they looked all that impressive that game. But they did look good against Baltimore.
They did.
They looked fine against the Bills. Like, it's a tough game. The defense looked good. Their defense looked pretty good, but
special teams looked funny.
Special teams looked horrendous. Okay, Thomas Morstead's down horrendous right now.
No, this is not on Thomas Morstead, actually. We're going to do a quick breakdown of that play for everyone here.
Here we go.
So what they were doing is they had one personal protector, and that person's job is to essentially stand exactly where they're planted at the start of the play, and they're not supposed to move back, and they're not supposed to let anyone move back. Essentially, they just have to eat whatever hit is coming at them. But they do that in order so the punter has 4 to 5 yards, really 3 to 4 yards, to get a punt off. And especially when you're backed up that far into your own end zone, it's really important that that man essentially puts his heels on a cliff and does not allow himself to fall back. What happens is the ball is snapped. No one rushes the personal protector, and he starts backpedaling. And naturally, Morstead, who is known for having very short steps because his hands are slow.
Slow hands.
Slow hands, but because of that, he makes up for it by having really short steps.
Okay.
So it's a net neutral. He somehow backs his way into Thomas Morstead. Morstead then obviously punts it up his ass. Guy falls down. Yeah. And as soon as he gets up, Morstead looks at him and says, "You were not supposed to be backing up." So that man will never be on the special teams again because that was a terrible mistake. That, like, you can watch Mike Randall do this for Bowden. He plays personal protector for Bowden. Go check it out. He had a great block.
Check the film.
Check the film. He actually had a great block against Williams this past week. Coach Hammer was very, very applauding him for that. But Mike Randall can do that. That is not that Mike's not. I'm digging myself a hole here, but like, it's a very straightforward job. Like, it's not something that's like, oh, I'm an NFL personal protector. You just stand there and you just get beat up. And this guy didn't do that.
Wow.
I'm defending Thomas Morstead's name.
Great breakdown.
Thanks.
Great breakdown.
Real mind of the game.
Yeah, but I don't know. The Dolphins, to me, they're good. They're a good solid team with an average quarterback.
Above average. We thought he was average.
I would still say average.
So he's the 15th best quarterback in the league?
Oh, below average.
Craig.
I'd be willing to say he's the 15th, but
that's
without
fair.
even thinking about it, I would say
11 and 16.
Yeah, he's probably, at least in terms of how he's played this year. Sure. Yeah. How about another team in Florida, the Bucks?
Are they bad?
So, their offensive line is disheveled right now.
So disheveled.
Their receiving core is disheveled right now.
So disheveled. Quarterback looking handsome though.
Yeah, I think by the end. Here's the thing. You're telling me you get into a playoff game, and it's Bucks versus whoever.
Tom Brady's he's finding a way to win.
He's finding a way to win that football game.
He is going to will his team to victory.
Like, for example, let's say, they're going to win their division. Their division stinks. Right. So let's even say they're like the 4 seed.
4 seed.
Right. They're the 4 seed. First round, who's like the wild card team in the NFC?
Giants.
No. Let's go. Niners.
Yeah.
Brady's not losing to Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm sorry. He's not losing to Jimmy Garoppolo. But, like, the point is, like, the NFC is such a weak conference.
Yeah.
And the Rams haven't looked I guess they've turned around a little bit.
There's a little Super Bowl over there.
Yeah. The Packers, we'll get to them.
Packers suck.
Stink. Like, Philly feels young, but maybe they can.
That was actually one of my storylines.
Pretty good. I mean, we can get into them.
Philly.
I think by the end of the day, the Bucs will be fine, but they have no receivers right now.
You need receivers to catch football.
Like I think back to like the 2019 Patriots, Brady's last year in New England. They also had no receivers.
Right? That was bad. That was when he was like yelling on the sidelines, like, you guys need to be quicker human beings.
No, like it's very similar right now.
It is.
It's a very similar situation.
At least he's a good running back.
It's true. Well, you get running backs with the Patriots in 2019.
Okay.
Sony Michel.
So hey, the Sony Michel year, that was fun.
That was.
Championship pedigree.
It's true. Do you want to talk about your Philadelphia Eagles?
I just think they're so fun to watch.
By the way, out there for those of you out there listening right now, did you know Sam Posman was an Eagles fan?
I think they described it very well when I am an Eagles fan, how a Falcons fan exists. Where I'm just happy to be there. If they're on TV, I'll watch them. I do not represent the city of Philadelphia, but no. They're just really fun to watch. Like they have a quarterback who, I mean, I'm still getting over the Oklahoma ties to him, but the fact that they weren't his first choice and went to Alabama before kind of makes it a little bit better. But they have a quarterback who's fun to watch. Mm-hmm. He clearly he has fun playing with his receivers, especially in Devonta Smith, which I love to see. Like that's always very fun. Yeah. But it's just a fun team. The defensive line is really good.
Yep.
Darius Slay's been tearing it up this year.
He has.
If they could give the ball to Miles Sanders, that'd be pretty cool. Not just because I have him in fantasy, but because like he's just a fun guy to watch play football.
I'm gonna be honest though, big fan of Kenneth Gainwell, huge fan of Boston Scott.
Hey, you mean Darren Sproles Jr.?
No. He's Boston Scott. He's his own guy.
Okay. I don't want him to lose his individuality in all of this.
He's his own individual.
But they're just it's just a bunch of spark plugs, and coached by Nick Sirianni of all people, which is
Nick Sirianni.
So I can't fathom it. But
good or bad?
He just doesn't fit the vibe of the rest of the team.
Yeah, he doesn't.
You know.
Still wearing the visor.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, when Doug Peterson's hair would come puff out of that visor, though, those were the days. But yeah, they're just a fun team. I'm excited that they're good. They're frisky. It's also kind of nice that their division sucks.
I was going to say, they're in a very weak division. They are set up very well right now.
Actually, that division's really good. It has 2 of the 3 undefeated teams in the league.
It's true, but the Philly is one of them.
Philly's one.
Philly will... Could Philly be the 1 seed?
They might be the 1 seed just because they get to play the NFC East 6 times.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Now, if you coming into the year, everyone was talking about Aaron Rodgers a lot. And for some reason, nobody wanted to talk about the fact that he had no receivers.
No one. Hey,
no one.
Lazard.
I love Allen Lazard. The Packers have no receivers. Sammy Watkins is on IR as usual. He's just not there. They're relying on like 2 rookies. I guess the ghost of Randall Cobb is back, right? They put up 14 points this past week. I didn't think they looked all that impressive against Chicago.
No.
That game was a correct replay review away from being like a 1-possession game. Week 1 they lost to Minnesota. So, they have not looked good.
Yeah.
They have not looked good at all. Bold prediction, by the way. The Patriots with Brian Hoyer, who I recently found out his first name is actually Axel. So Axel Hoyer at quarterback are going to storm into Green Bay and beat the Packers this upcoming weekend.
I'll take you out to lunch if that happens.
Deal. We're shaking on it right now.
Live on air.
Live on air. The Patriots are going to win.
Okay.
Strictly because I have not been at all impressed by the Packers this year.
Super unimpressed by the Packers this year.
I like Romeo Doubs, though. He's had some moments.
Oh, what else have we got here? Oh, I got another storyline for you. I have 2 more.
Okay.
You have. Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
Can we just give him the football?
Did you hear Arthur Smith's response to when a reporter asked him that question?
Share with the class.
He said something along the lines of "This isn't fantasy football. We're just trying to win games."
Don't they have one good player?
At the time, they were 0-2 when he said that.
This isn't fantasy football. We're trying to. He's probably just playing.
Why would I give the ball to the generational tight end we drafted 4th overall? Why would I do that?
Hey, let 32-year-old Cordero Patterson cook.
Yeah. Well, even Drake London apparently is cooking. The worst part about it is when Arthur Smith was the offensive coordinator for the Titans. The tight end, they had extreme success with Anthony Firkser.
Yeah.
And Jonnu Smith and old Delaney Walker.
Yes.
But all of a sudden he gets Kyle Pitts and doesn't know how to use him.
And it's not like Marcus Mariota's talent is that different from
Marcus Mariota was the quarterback with the Titans.
Oh my God, you're right.
Right?
Yes.
Like Delaney Walker was putting up numbers with Marcus Mariota. You're telling me Kyle Pitts, who's like a 6'6" animal, can't even get like 3 catches in a game?
So bad. So bad.
What's the deal? Like, because I know it's not a Kyle Pitts problem.
Yeah, it's not a Kyle Pitts problem.
Arthur Smith. I hate when coaches get on their high horse about this isn't fantasy football.
We use analytics.
Analytics. Friend of the show, Colin Cowherd. Yeah. Go ahead.
You hear my other one?
I was going to ask for it.
Philly versus Washington this past week, and the whole week I was like, oh, it's the Wentz wagon.
Okay.
Yes.
Can we pause really quickly?
Go ahead.
Once again, he's a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and he was more excited for Carson Wentz shredding his favorite team
Carson Wentz was my one true love, and I was very excited.
than his favorite team actually winning a football game.
I was very excited to see Carson Wentz come back and be like, I'm not gone.
And
Ahead of this,
Yeah.
through 2 weeks, this man is leading the league in passing yards, or top 3.
yeah.
So I'm like, I've got big expectations. He comes in and drops a stinker. He didn't lay an egg. He laid an egg and then stepped on it and accidentally broke it. Like, it was, and not even to make an omelet. He just stepped on it, and now he's got egg in his foot. It was terrible. It was like watching, I don't even know what it was like watching, because you almost felt bad doing it.
Yeah.
Hey, Philly won, though.
Philly won. So
That's
I
good.
don't understand your NFL fandom. Like, okay, you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan. You're happy they won.
This is very confusing for Andrew. No.
It's incredibly confusing for me. Like, when the Patriots played the Bucks, at no point was I like, Tom Brady revenge game. Let's go Bucks, baby. Fire the cannons. Like, no. No.
I like Ron Rivera. Charlotte guy. Don't like the Panthers, though.
Yeah, he doesn't like the Panthers. Wasn't a fan of Cam Newton. Isn't a fan of Baker Mayfield.
In my defense, it was from Jake Delhomme to Jimmy Clausen to Cam Newton. So I grew up being like, who are these bums? I was getting spoiled.
Excuse me.
Did
you just call Cam Newton a bum?
I was getting spoiled watching Colt McCoy and Jordan Shipley tear it up at the University of Texas. Just go see Jimmy Clausen of all people.
Called Cam Newton a bum, but Carson Wentz is his one true love.
Hey, man.
Unbelievable.
If everyone was normal, the world wouldn't be exciting.
Unbelievable. Really quickly, I want to touch on my New England Patriots. So Mac Jones, high ankle sprain. He's out for a while, probably.
I'm actively praying on the Patriots' downfall. Actually, no. I'm a Patriots fan now.
You're a Patriots fan now?
No, I'm joking.
Okay, yeah. We had a conversation at lunch recently where Sam said some crazy takes. I'm not going to share them because they're not fit for air, and he probably would be angry if I shared them.
My reputation would be tarnished.
Yeah, just some atrocious takes regarding Mac Jones and his placement in the quarterback hierarchy in the NFL. But
hey, when he can throw the ball fast, I'll respect him. I hope he gets healthy though.
I thought this past week, I feel like there's a lot of panic going on with Mac Jones for whatever reason, and like I expected this because again, the offensive coaches are Matt Patricia and Joe Judge.
They're not offensive coaches. They have as much offensive coaching pedigree as Sam Posman and Andrew Cohen.
Exactly. Well, now they have 3 more weeks under their belt, so it's not quite the same, but still.
I was scout team quarterback for a day once.
There we go.
College level.
At the college level. I've never played football.
Threw a touchdown.
I've watched a lot of football.
Tough look for the defense.
Yeah. But so the offense actually yesterday. You know what? It looked like an NFL offense a little bit.
You mentioned that.
There's some down the field plays to Devontae Parker. There was motion in the backfield. There was play action. It was great. Mac Jones, the memes
Those
on Twitter.
Like the most basic
it was
aspects of running.
It was like McCorkle Vic. He had a rushing touchdown before Lamar Jackson did. He had a couple like great plays where he is extending it with his legs in the like behind the line of scrimmage and making. There was a 4th and 1 where there was a rollout to one side. He ran all the way back to the other and completed a pass to pick up the first down. Like he looked pretty darn good up until like the end of the game where he started throwing some picks. Although one of them I'm now on the train of that was Devontae Parker's fault. But
okay, he used to be the Dolphins, right?
Yep. But the fact of the matter is, he has taken a step back from where he was last year. Through the first 3 weeks of this year, Mac Jones has not been as good as he was last year, but I think so much of that has to do with the offensive coaching. That said, there have been some picks this year where you're like, how did you not see the guy right there? Like, he was right there. Why didn't you
If
see
you're
him?
looking at him.
You're looking right at him. And now there's this ankle injury, and some people are saying it's a blessing in disguise. He can take a step back and watch the film and all that, and that might be fair. And if there was ever a time for him to miss games, yes, they have to go to Green Bay this week. But after that, they have, I believe, like Detroit at home. They have Cleveland. They have the Jets. Their schedule really opens up. There's actually a pocket of time where, honestly, they should be winning most of those games, even with Brian Hoyer.
I agree. That's very fair.
Right. That's going to be my expectation as I'm watching them.
I have 2 questions for you.
Yeah.
1 through 10. 0 through 10. Where were you on Mac Jones is locked in as the quarterback going forward for the foreseeable future at the end of last year? And what are you at 3 weeks into the season?
I would say like a 7 at the end of last year.
Okay.
Still at a 7.
Okay.
My whole thing is I expected the offense to be bad this year because of Matt Patricia and Joe Judge. So when the offense has been bad, it's been bad. Sure. That's kind of what I expected. Again, there have been a couple throws from Mac Jones where it's like, what the hell was that? But then it's also he's a second-year quarterback.
Exactly.
Right? And so there's going to be some of those moments.
Let's be honest. Alabama education. What's that really doing for you?
Okay. You have a second question?
Oh, what is it this year?
Okay, you combine them. So last year and this year, yeah. I will say he did fade off a bit at the end of the last regular season.
Yeah, it was because he was threatened by a certain other AFC East quarterback starting to improve at the end of last season.
Zach Wilson, are you serious? A quick thing on the Patriots, too, is so Lamar Jackson on Sunday had the first ever 100 rushing yard performance by a quarterback against Bill Belichick in his entire time in New England, which was crazy. And in the past, they've defended Lamar pretty well. I thought an interesting point was that they didn't really adjust during the game. You want to know why that is? It's because Bill Belichick this year he's had to take on more of a role offensively because they don't have real offensive coaches. And so he's left the defense to Steve Belichick and Gerard Mayo, and they just didn't really make defensive adjustments. And that's very frustrating.
That's very frustrating. Steve is super overrated, IMO.
Oh, overrated. I hope you understand that Patriots fans do not think he's very good at his job.
Really?
No. I don't think no one's like, oh, he's the next Bill Belichick. No. It's it's nepotism. That's why he's there, and we don't really everyone loves Gerard Mayo though.
Yeah.
Gerard Mayo's the best.
You know I like Gerard Mayo.
Yeah, of course you. Who wouldn't?
Exactly.
With a name like that, especially, and great personality, great guy, great football player.
Super nice.
Yeah.
Players seem to like him.
They do. But the Patriots are going to still finish second in that division.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Little sauce action.
Yeah. That's probably going against what I said 2 weeks ago on the NFL preview, but
probably.
And obviously the Dolphins are 3-0 and Pets are 1-2.
Bills have top 2 quarterback in football.
Do they?
Top 3, fine.
Do they? Yeah. They're going to come in second. That's a hot take.
That's like scorching. That's like do not touch the plate.
The Dolphins are going to come back down to earth, I think.
Okay.
That's my take.
Okay.
Do you have any hot takes before we get to Sam's send-off?
49ers win their division. I don't know how crazy that is, though.
That's pretty crazy.
Think so?
They're 1-2.
I know.
Haven't looked good.
I know. Neither Patriots.
No? I'm having them coming in second. That's not get crazy here. They're not. No, we're not talking about first. We're talking about second.
Win the division. Jimmy G and his handsome ass are fucking. Oh. Sorry, guys.
You already said other words.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I think Jimmy G pulls it out.
Okay.
Ayuk's looked really good. This is the Ayuk year we thought we were getting last year.
I know. It is the Ayuk year we thought we were getting last year.
Yeah.
Although apparently we're not getting a Kittle year this year. Apparently Kyle Shanahan he's just not going to let Kittle run routes.
That's okay.
When they need offense. He's just not going to let him do it.
It's fine.
What can you do? So, okay, my hot takes are the entire AFC West finish. Jags win their division. Oh. No, I mean, listen, the Detroit Lions, before they lost, if they had beaten Minnesota, I'd be all aboard the Lions winning the division train.
That's fair.
But I know they're gonna lose to the Patriots in a couple weeks. But I really don't. I'm really down on the Packers.
Yeah. So
I'm really down on the Packers.
That's a fun one.
Detroit Lions win the division. They're winning the NFC North.
I love that.
How did Dan Campbell put it? They're going to be the team that can and will.
This is the first team that the team coming off Hard Knocks has actually been good. Don't they always disappoint?
The Cardinals are going to be on Hard Knocks in November, apparently, the mid-season one. So that they knew the Cardinals were not going to be good in December, and so they got them at the perfect time, right during train wreck time.
So bad.
All right, yeah. So I got the entire AFC West. Jags win their division. Pats come in second. Lions win their division.
It's not crazy. It's pretty.
It's
crazy.
a lot of craziness.
It's actually
a lot of craziness.
I'm trying to forward though.
All right.
I don't have problems.
Okay. And now it's time
How crazy.
for Sam's send-off by Sam. Presented by nobody.
But that's my fault.
That's Sam's fault. He dropped the ball.
I didn't actually drop the ball. I just never picked it up.
All right. What's Sam's send-off today?
Texas comes out. What is it? 20-21 against Alabama, week 1.
2019.
2019.
I believe.
Sorry, they beat L.A. Monroe, whatever.
Yeah.
Come out, close game against Alabama. Here we are thinking Texas isn't back, but they're on the path to be good. And they freaking throw up a stinker against Tech. A stinker.
I believe there was an exact moment in the game where you looked at me and said, okay, I think we have this one in the bag. And Texas Tech immediately scored a 20-yard touchdown.
Immediately.
Never looks back. No, like the ball was in the air as soon as you finished your sentence.
Yes, it was atrocious. I'm not happy, but I'm also aware that we have probably a top 5, top 3 quarterback in the country in terms of raw talent.
Mm-hmm. Not playing right now, though.
Nope. Right now we're actually playing a converted wide receiver at quarterback in Hudson Card, who was 5 stars coming out, or 4.5, whatever, coming out of high school. But ranked amongst the best of them, but it's not great.
Didn't you call him? What did you call him again?
Yes. I called him Himson Card.
Himson Card.
That aged terribly.
That aged like milk that had already been expired for a year.
That aged like the salsa that Mike left on the counter. Anyway, here's one of my issues, and I found this on Twitter today and then did some research of my own, and I was like, oh, great heavens, there's no way that's real. So Texas's like third down flex type running back is a 5-star quarterback that ended up losing the job to Ellinger, of all people, and then transitioned to running back. And now he's a captain, he's a senior, and he's like a great guy to have on the team. Hudson Card played wide receiver in high school, and that came out, switched to quarterback in high school. He was also a track star, and he's all equally 5-star recruit.
Yeah.
Point being, Texas runs this wildcat all the time, where they put Rashawn Johnson, who's the running back, ex-quarterback. Mm-hmm. He gets the snap, and they put Hudson Card out wide.
Yep.
In theory, this is a great weapon to have. You've got the speedster that no one thinks can run. You've got Rashawn Johnson in the backfield with the ball in his hands. They've tried that play, I think, like 12 times on the season. Off tackle run every single time. Every single time.
But when they do actually throw it.
But when they throw it, it's going to be disgusting.
Maybe they'll bring it out against Oklahoma.
No, but there was a clip in the Tech game. They tried it a couple of times. Every single time, Rashawn Johnson is the one under center. They literally load up 11 guys in the box because they know they're just not going to throw the football. And Rashawn Johnson was a good quarterback. Like he was
5-star. You said he was a 5-star recruit.
Yes, he's a better runner than his passer for sure. But he can hit a wide open track star 30 yards down the field.
Yeah.
So, I think the ceiling's very high for this team. We just have to kind of learn how to be a football.
Okay, so now that like you were just out for a bit, like what's your goal for the season this year for Texas?
Beat Oklahoma once. Here's the thing: Oklahoma isn't that good this year either. Right now, our biggest threat is Kansas.
It's always Kansas.
Kansas 4-0 this year. Shout out Kansas. Rank them. The committee's scared. They won't rank them. Give Kansas. Put them in at 25.
Give them the respect they deserve.
Yeah, honestly, cowards. Sheeple. Wake up, Sheeple.
Wake up, Sheeple.
Kansas is good. But no. The Big 12 is wide open. Texas could legitimately win it. US is supposed to be back October 8th. That's Oklahoma week. Mm-hmm. We can go in and win that game. Oklahoma just lost bad this past week to some bummy team. I think we'll be fine. It's just we're going to be 2-2 and then we're going to be 8-2.
I believe this is their last chance to win the Big 12.
Nah, we're still there through 2026.
Really?
Yeah.
How? What? Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Who says? All right, We'll give them 5 years, and then they're in the SEC.
That's why we're testing the waters with the Alabama situation.
Like, yeah, Archman is committed to Texas, but he's not going to attend for 5 years.
No.
Like,
yeah.
The entire team will be, like, gone by the time they actually play the SEC.
Hey, Rashawn Johnson will still be there.
DeMarvion Overshawn, is that the guy
Yeah.
that's been there for like 8 years, whatever?
Yeah.
All right, so we got Texas football talk. Mike Randall would never allow that on this podcast.
No, he would not. No, he would not. He also wouldn't allow Chief slander.
Oh, we didn't talk about the Giants.
We'll save that for Mike.
We will.
Because it's actually a very positive thing.
Yeah. Mike Randall wore a Giants jersey in public recently.
And felt no shame.
And felt no shame. No, he did not.
Saquads is back.
Saquads.
What's Mike calling it? The Saquonisons?
Quadzilla.
I think it's the Saquonisons.
Saquonisons?
Like a Renaissance situation.
Okay.
That he's coming back. It's like enlightening.
That just reminds me of one of my favorite nicknames for a running back, Quadzilla. A.J. Dillon.
That's good.
That's a great nickname, right?
That's really, really good, actually.
All right, we'll end off on that.
Hey, you know who the best running back football's going to be next year?
Ramondre Stevenson.
Bijan Robinson.
Oh.
If you can hold on to football.
If you can hold on to I thought you said you weren't angry about that.
I'm actually not angry about that, though. I'm very patient.
All right. Anyways, that's it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, leave a review, tell your friends, all that good stuff. We'd really appreciate it.
We might have ads going forward.
We might have. We've been saying this. I know we've been saying this, but it's gonna happen.
It's actually picking up some steam.
Thanks, guys, so much.